Going to live. It takes so long to connect on the streaming devices everywhere else, and I just don't get it. Okay, all right, we're there, so we're good. Okay, so go on live on Facebook, go on live on X/Twitter, as it takes forever and a day to load up on Twitter. What you got, Q? You got it? Got up on that side?
It looks like we're good.
Good, looking good, looking good. Awesome. Very good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Welcome Home podcast. I am your host, Family Simply Garnet, and I'm joined by my co host, Q.
What it do, y'all? What it do? What it do?
And we are 13 days away officially from Gamecock kickoff, 12 days away when you listen to the Welcome Home podcast on Spotify and Apple this morning, this afternoon, today. 13 days away, 12 days when you're listening. We are getting ever so much closer. Q, how are you feeling right now, my man? How are you feeling?
Man, listen. I am. I've never been so. How do I want to say optimistic? I want to say optimistic. I haven't been so optimistic about a season a pretty good minute. I want to say Shane's first year, I was intrigued, but I wouldn't say optimistic. This season, in my opinion, is one of those genuine optimistic ones, man. Like
Hmm.
when you're looking at this season with who we have returning, who we have brought in, hey man, the games have got to start getting played.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about nothing else right now. Let's let the games get played. Let's let these games get played. That's where I genuinely am at this present moment. Is hey man, let's let these games get played. And so I'm ready, man. I'm excited. 31st round of corner. I gotta get my season polo. So I've been kind of searching around trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But beyond that, man, I'm excited though. Season's here.
Season's here, man. And I tell you what, so last night on Friday nights, for the ones that are going to tune in on Monday, or excuse me, Saturday night, good Lord. On Saturday nights, I was actually out at Steel Hands with you. Shout out to the Gamecock Twitter out there, man. They always, we've got a great community. So, shout out to everybody, man.
Shout out.
Joey, Morgan, Mobo, Peyton, I mean, all those
Yeah.
guys, man. Like, we have a good time
Shout
out
out to
there.
those boys.
Yeah, shout out to them, man. So, we have a good time out there. So we went to Steel Hands last night, and it was for a Garnet in Black Bash kind of thing. And so they had, a band out there. Ryan, who's a big Gamecock fan, Ryan Trotty, was out there, put on a really good show. He's played at CB18 a few times locally, and I think he said he lives up in Charlotte. So
Hmm.
he comes down and puts on some good shows. He's really, like I said, big Gamecock fan, put on a great show out there. And last night, there's a little tent reserve section, but there in the tents, were some great Gamecocks. Patrick DeMarco, which, by the way, tune into that podcast if you haven't yet. He's putting on an absolute show with that, with Steven Garcia. And I mean, look, man, you had some great guys out there. Ryan Brewer, man, the king of Ohio State, by the way, was out there last night
That's my
having a
guy right there,
blast.
man. That was my guy right there. I
Yeah,
remember that
yeah, yeah.
conversation we had with him uh, before the spring game.
Mm-hmm,
If you remember, we were at CB18,
mm-hmm.
and we got to talk to him, and he was telling us a lot about what was going on during that time and how he feels things would have been different as well for South
Right.
Carolina. Had NIL and those things been a part of that. Which Gamecock Nation, I want you guys to kind of think about that. So we've had a lot of great guys come through, and I am going to be honest with you. There's some guys that are legends for us now. I don't know if we could have held on to them during, and if NIL was a part of it back in the day. That would have been, it'd have been, I don't know if possible would have even been a word at that point, man. It would have been impossible to hold on to a couple of these guys. I really,
Yeah.
when you look at 2010 through 2013, I mean, that could have changed dramatically, especially when Steve Spurrier
Mm-hmm.
didn't even want to recruit. Like, I mean, he didn't want to recruit. So him not wanting to recruit, and on top of that, we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with money. That's why I say, as a person, you have to think about where you want to stand when it comes to this. If you want a great program, you're going to have to invest in it. I mean, I'm not saying spend your last dollar on it. That's not what I'm saying. I understand there's priorities and everything like that, but I have to be a realist in the situation. And FG, we've had this conversation, bro. The best programs are going to have those kind of investments happen in those programs. Like, it's just got to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's got to happen. And so,
for sure,
we're gonna have to. I think we're doing good. We're not great. We're good. We need to be great in order to get to where we want to be. As far, in my opinion, as far as football's concerned, basketball's concerned, baseball's concerned, women's basketball. I think other schools are going to start throwing their weight around when it comes to women's basketball if we're not careful. Softball is another sport. I just think there's a lot that we have to look at, like, inwardly, and say, hey, this is what we need to do, because Don's not going to be here forever. Eventually, Don's going to retire. So you want to have you're not a program in place. You want to have a whole thing in place. Your NIL needs to be in place. So whoever comes in, because it's going to be a highly wanted job. Whoever comes in, they're there. Lamont is a growing coach in this industry, a very, very sound coach. He's growing in this industry. We want to put Lamont exactly where he needs to be money-wise. Shane knows what it takes. Regardless of how everyone feels, if you're on the fence about him, A, B, C, X, Y, and Z, Shane knows what it takes to get this program where it needs to be. We need to put the money behind him to have that happen. Paul knows what it takes to get a baseball program running. He's had a national title program before. We've got to start investing in our university a little bit more than what we're doing now. I'm not saying we need to everybody needs to give $1 million. If we could do that, then yeah, that'd be great. We would probably field literally the best team every year. But I really want us to start looking at, hey, what do we want South Carolina athletics to look like? Because to me, a reflection of how you give, not just money-wise, but support-wise, all those other things. How you embrace your program is how your program is going to run. To me right now, we run as a middle-of-the-pack program. That's how everything operates, middle of the pack.
It's fair.
I just genuinely believe, heart of hearts, if we want to get to that top tier thing, we're going to have to invest in our program as that. Like CB said in the spaces that we hosted, you gotta show support. CB 18 should be packed out if we know a recruiting weekend's there.
Right.
Pack it out. Have somewhere where the guys can come and they can see, oh man, hey, they're gonna have this joint rocking every time.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like it's simple things. Like I said, everything ain't monetary. I give it all the way around. Monetary. Right. I get, what I'm saying? I give it monetary. I give it, I give my time. I'm there when the time comes, all that other stuff. I'm good with that. But I just want people to start filling out where they feel they can fit in at and give and give it like you are giving it monetarily and put that effort there, because that's all we're asking.
Yeah. I would say this, as far as the NIL things go, or at least events, the last couple seasons, the Gamecock Central has had the kickoff thing out there at Steel Hands. And, they have this great event. They have the players coming out there to, meet the fans, sign autographs, take pictures with the fans, talk to me, communicate, all that good stuff, right? Well, I don't know if you guys have really noticed, but since everybody's been back, right, quote unquote, been back, putting in the work, all the work, right, there's been nothing going on as far as NIL events. And I'm thinking, I don't know, right? I do not know. And I may be just throwing this out there, but it seems to me like all focus right now is out on that field. And those NIL events right now, they were said, no, you cannot hold them right now because of what's going on. I'm just saying,
fair point.
I don't know this for a fact,
that's a good point. That's a solid point.
but think about
This is
it.
a critical year. This is a
It
critical year. So
absolutely
you're
is.
right. You're right.
Yeah. Think about it. I've noticed personally in my end, because I communicate with the guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
The social media presence, for most of them, for most of the guys, the social media presence has not been as strong the last
Mm-hmm.
month or so than what it was prior to when the guys
Mm-hmm.
were, not back and whatnot. And I've noticed there's a difference from this year and last year to that aspect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not saying like, Beamer has these guys not on social media, tell them there's like a social media ban like Spurrier did or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying there is definitely a different mindset, different mentality that we've seen in this offseason. And we're continuing to see right now, especially like, for example, in the presser the other day with Shane Beamer, right? Something about what's going on right now with this program is completely different. And I'm here for it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
100% here for it. And,
I agree.
I've heard fans like they were disappointed there's been no, fan day, right? There's no fan appreciation day, which I don't know if we'll ever see that against, since NIL's been a thing, right? Like I said, their Gamecock Central weren't able to hold a huge thing with players this year, and it's not a Gamecock Central thing. It's what's going on with this program, and like I said, I am here for this 100%.
I agree with it. I'm sorry. I am not the guy that's going to tell you, hey man, they should do X, Y, and Z more. I'm not the guy to tell you that because I'm a realist. When I look around the SEC
Mhm.
and the nation, there's got to be a level of focus that you're going to have. And
Right.
I feel like those guys, especially, I would definitely say, especially this year, those guys have that kind of focus, man.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And Shane, it starts at the top.
It does.
It starts at the top.
Absolutely
We're
does.
talking with Shane, and Shane's demeanor has changed this year, and the Shane's demeanor has changed in the way of Shane looks at this offseason after a 5-7 season in his third season. This is where Shane's issue is. If his first season was 5-7, there's not one person on here that would have complained. Nobody. Nobody would have said a word. Nobody would have done anything. Nobody would have had any issues or complaints about a 5-7 season after coming off a 2-win season. No
Mm-hmm.
one. It would have been improvement. It would have been all those different things. Instead, Shane won 7 games his first year. So he had a 5-game improvement. Turns around his second year, and now he has an 8-win season. So that's another game improvement to turn around and go 5-7. Now, there are guys like me and you who sat at games, who understood there were issues that were going on. You visibly saw the issues.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always coaching. It wasn't always any of those other things. It was you just kind of visibly saw the issues. Was
Right.
what it
Right.
was.
Right.
There are fans outside of it that just look at it as, oh, we're 5-17.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. Our recruiting class has not been where everybody thought it would be because we missed out on some high ranked guys. But everyone always forgets, hey, on the recruiting trail, if I was another coach, I'm going to say the same thing. You want to come to my squad or you want to go to a 5-7 squad? Because we
Right.
don't know if they're going to be better than 5-7.
Right.
So once again, this all goes back to if you want the team, if we want a better product on the field, if this is what you want, you still need to show up
Mm-hmm.
because I am putting, how do I put this? I am genuinely giving you as much of the answers as I can. That product's going to be better on the field.
Oh, for sure.
I want y'all to understand how this defense, said this yesterday, this defense that we have this year is maybe a step below 2012's defense. So I'm saying since the year 2012, we have not had a defense like the one we are going to have this year, talent-wise. They are a step below 2012. 2 steps below 2011, which is the most talent-ridden defense we've ever had in the history of anything.
Yeah.
But I will say, no holds bar. Talent-wise, that group is here.
Yeah.
So you have that, and now it comes down to coaching. Clayton White, if Clayton White fails with this defense this year, he will be gone.
Yeah.
He will be gone.
Or yeah.
He will be gone. I guarantee it. I guarantee that. Clayton White will absolutely 110% be gone.
Yeah.
And you can't blame anyone for that.
Yeah, no. I will say this though, with this defense, compared to what we've seen in the past, there's just so much more talent, so much more speed than what we've seen. And look, when you have guys, and I'm gonna play the clip because I mean it's amazing, right? But the clip of Dylan Stewart doing this spin, okay? And look, people are like, oh, it's a practice scrimmage. I mean, no, whatever, it's a drill. Nobody really cares. Let's see this in game. I'm sorry, but a lot of guys on teams in college football right now, they can't do this. And watch this. Watch how you say this. Watch this. I mean, that is absolutely insane. What are you supposed to do about that? I mean, my God.
And for people who think, well, he spun inside so the other guard will get him. Why would the other guard get Dylan when he's got to deal with TJ Sanders that's standing right beside Dylan doing the same thing Dylan is doing?
Yeah.
Well, what about the center? Well, DeAndre Jules is right beside TJ Sanders, who's right beside Dylan Stewart, taking up 2 blocks. I can't emphasize this enough to you guys, and I hope you understand me when I say this. Top to bottom, this is the most talented defense, depth-wise, talent-wise, since 2012. That means there is one 11-win team that does not have the same amount of talent as this one did. And that was 2013's team. They had 11 wins, but they did not have the same amount of talent on defense that they have this year.
Mm-hmm.
You had Jadeveon Clowney. Yeah. Yeah. But you didn't have no one that was as good as Kyle Kennard is.
Right.
You did not have anyone as good as, shoot, you go 3 deep on that D-line this year. In a 4-2-5, you can go 3 deep on the D tackle. We did not have 6 D tackles that were good that year. Right. We didn't. We didn't have 6 linebackers that were good that year. We didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We could not go 6 deep at safety. No. And you know what's crazy? I haven't even included Boosie. I didn't even include Boosie. That, you know what? At the end of the day, I said it on the spaces, and I say it again. This team is a top 8 defense, and they are closer to top 5 than they are 8. Everyone wants to complain about that offensive line, which I'm sick of. I'm absolutely sick of that. I'm sick of the clickbaits. I'm sick of all that stuff when it comes to the offensive line. Because I've seen how well that offensive line is, especially with the run game. And we won't play. There will be more than half the teams we play this year that will not be as good as the defense we are putting on the field, that they practice against every day.
Yep.
That's how good this defense is.
Yeah, no, I know. I 100% agree. Now, Q, before we talk about what's been going on in the scrimmages, a recent out-of-conference schedule got released for South Carolina men's basketball. That is something that we need to talk about.
Yeah, put that up on the screen, man. Hey, see if you can put that bad boy up on the screen, bro.
Don't believe I can put it on the screen, but this is what I can do. We'll read it out loud.
Let's do that.
We'll do that. So, November 4th, North Florida. Okay. November 8th, SC States. November 12th, Towson. November 16th, Indiana. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting. Hoosiers, baby. Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm.
November 21st, Mercer. November 25th, and everybody loves this one, the Hall's Chop House Classic.
Hall's Chop House Classic, man. Can't wait.
Against Xavier. Okay. And then November 27th, whoever, the Michigan/Virginia Tech, whoever's on that one. Boston College on December 3rd. December 7th, ECU, which, playing ECU was not fun last time. December 14th, USC Upstate. December 17th, Clemson. December 22nd, Radford. That's somebody we hadn't played in a long time. And then December 30th, Presbyterian College. So, obviously, not a ton of heavy hitters in the schedule, but the SEC is going to be, again, another gauntlet. So, at the same time, you need to see what you got out of these guys because you were replacing a lot of talent. Let's be real, man. Talon Cooper.
That was the one. That's the one. That's the one.
BJ Mack. Huge, right? Yeah. You lost Gray, right? You lost Gray to the transfer portal. I mean, Beachy Johnson lost to the transfer portal. But what South Carolina brings in, once again, takes care of a lot of needs, opens up, closes those holes, right? So I'm interested to see what we look like. I know fans are just chomping at the bit for college basketball, which is the first time in a very long time that I could say that from the University of South Carolina, maybe since, I guess, the year before we went to the Final Four, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we haven't had this electric feeling in such a long time. You bring Cam Scott, you get him to flip from Texas to come to South Carolina, keep ingrown talent, the homegrown talent in states.
Mm-hmm.
Massive, right?
Pringle. You bring in Pringle.
Bring Pringle.
You bring in Jordan Butler.
Mm-hmm. Bring Butler back home.
Yeah. So, our good friend, Jamie Shaw, very good guy, On3 basketball analyst, very good at what he does. If anyone doesn't know who Jamie Shaw is the guy when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to these high schoolers. And we were talking, and when you look at this team and how they're structured, I mean, just like I told him, I got to be honest. This is more of a Lamont structured team.
Yeah.
This is way more of a Lamont structured team that you would see Lamont put out there. Now, a lot has been replacing, and Jamie brought that up too. He was like, you're replacing a lot. And we both agreed on this. The biggest replacement you have to have is Talon Cooper. A lot of people don't understand how key it is to have a point guard that doesn't turn the ball over like Talon didn't, set up the offense correctly, was able to score at will, and because they had to respect his jumper, they had to do all those different things.
Mm-hmm. How
do you replace that? Now, I think it's going to be by committee, personally. Morris has got to step up at the point guard position. Jacoby Wright has to step up. We brought in the point guard from Norfolk State.
Mm-hmm.
So we have guys that's got to step up and do something. Another guy I think needs to step up is Zach Davis. He's got to take the next step forward.
I think he's going to do that.
Yeah, you got to have Zach become, in my opinion, and we'll look at it more so when it comes closer to basketball time.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have guys like Zach. So I'll keep that brief because I'll definitely dive deep into what this team will need to be successful then. But in order to navigate this non-conference, which it's very balanced. It's more balanced than last year's. Last year did not have the top heavy guys we have this year.
Right.
So this year you have an Indiana, you have either a Michigan or was it Virginia Tech? Michigan or Virginia Tech you're gonna have to play. Um, Xavier, who you're gonna have to play. And I think Indiana's gonna start out top 25 if I'm not mistaken.
Honestly, I don't know enough about Indiana.
I think they will because they brought back a lot of talent and like they went in the portal and hit it pretty hard. So Clemson will be a tough squad again. You have a lot of guys that are going to be very good on that schedule, but so you have your balance. So I just think we're in for a treat. Then we're in for a treat with that, bro. We're in for a treat.
I agree, and I would tell fans this: enjoy your final year of CMB because if and he showed what he can do in these past camps, and I'm telling you what, man, enjoy the last season of Colin Murray Boyles. I'm just,
I hope it's not. Now. I hope we get one more year of him. I hope we get one more year of him and Cam Scott because those two would be electric if we get one more year both.
I would put more of Cam Scott returning after the season. Obviously, we don't know what's in store for us, but I'm just saying, man, from what people are saying, the scouts and whatnot, and I would be thoroughly shocked to see CMB not go next year. I really would to the NBA because I'm telling you, like he went against some really good athletes in this that tournament or the camp that he was at, which included a lot of professionals, a lot of pros that he went against.
I agree.
I'm telling you right now, the staff is probably already jotting him down as we're gonna have to replace that talent after next season.
I think it's gonna be. I think how well we do in SEC play, how well we do, in as a whole as a season individually. I think there's a lot of things that's going to take place that has to take place before he's able to be for I feel ready to say that. I'm not ready to say that yet. I'm not ready to say that. After having a few talks, I'm not ready to say it yet because I do like his game a lot. He's got to show that he has a jump shot. He has to prove a couple more things. But do I think he's going to make it to the next level? Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. That's that. Let me say this now. CMB will be a NBA player. As will Cam Scott. I just feel like I got to see him being the number one option on a team, and let's see what that looks like because I think that plays a role for NBA players, or NBA scouts as well. How did you fare as a number one option, and what did your team do as a number one option? Were y'all successful as a team with you being the number one option? I think that plays a huge role.
No, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. I just think from what the projections are right now, and just overall next year's draft, it's not. I want to say it's deep, in some parts.
That's true. Now that's true. Now that's a true statement.
Yeah, so you got to really look at that to the complexity of how deep it is, right? So we'll see. Obviously, like I said, exciting stuff with that with basketball. And we had a little hoop talk in there. Obviously, Dawn is probably going to look to run the stage again because my God, 100%. I don't see how you 100%. Don't.
100%.
So, we'll talk about that when it comes time. We're getting closer to that. I know she had a blast at the Olympics. She posted with Tom Brady and all these different athletes, celebrities, and looks like she had a blast. So good, good for her. Shout out to our 2 gold medalists. Shout out to them.
Yep.
They did some great stuff out there with Quincy Hall and then Asia Wilson. So just amazing stuff from them as usual. And you're gonna see, like I said, I think you're gonna see more of that trend, more of these Gamecocks win these gold medals because that is something historically South Carolina hasn't done a very good job with as a university. But going forward, I wouldn't be surprised to see more of that to that extent. And shout out to the track and field for USA, man. Like they brought home
I mean, they
all the
went
goals
crazy.
just about.
They
Bro,
went crazy.
they went nuts, bro. Like on every
They went
level,
crazy. They went crazy.
every level. So
They went crazy.
shout out, shout out to them. And before we get to the more scrimmage talk, we had some uniforms unveiled, yesterday on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday. And if that video didn't get you hyped up, which always Justin King and his staff do so well, I mean,
Yeah,
they would get you hyped up to watch a chess match. Let's be honest with it. Let's be
that's
honest
fair.
with it. Like
That's a fair point.
they can make paint drying, exciting. They can make a great highlight video of paint drying. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's incredible the things that staff that group continues to do. But the uniforms, I'm gonna tell you what, my personal opinion, fire.
That was a nice. That was a nice thing.
Absolute heat, bro.
Because they're gonna wear that for what, Akron game?
I think it's September 21st. I
Yeah, it's the Akron.
think
So Akron.
October. I can't
Yeah.
remember the date, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's Akron game. It's the Akron game, September 21st, Akron. So that's. I mean, dude, I love the throwback 1980s jersey that they're putting on. I'm glad we're starting to do more jersey reveals.
yeah,
I personally have always liked those. So jersey reveals are always going to be my number one like thing that I love
hmm
because I think that battle armor is always dope to see like what combos we can put together
yeah,
and what we look like out there. That I always think that's always dope. And I think it just gets you more prepared to understand like we're trying to do some big things this season, man. And I really
hmm
genuinely believe that that's what's going to happen.
yeah,
I genuinely believe that's what's going to happen here for for us. I
hmm
I genuinely believe that. I'm excited.
yeah. Me too.
That much I can tell you, bro.
Me too.
I'm absolutely ecstatic to see what we're able to do this year.
I tell you this though, as far as like the replica stuff for the fans, right?
Hmm.
Why is it that this whole vinyl screen print thing, what I mean, not embroidered, but the screen print crap that we just literally talked about before we hopped on
Yeah,
recording?
yeah.
Why are we going? Why are they? Why is first of all, I know Under Armour why they're doing it. Cuts costs because inflation's ridiculous right now. I get it, but at the same time, it looks terrible, man. Like the whole screen. Can we get away from that? Like, look, I've got Kevin O'Shea. Shout out my guy who created this. Right, this is embroidered. This is not screen print. Like this is the real deal. Holyfield.
Hmm.
I don't understand why Under Armour continues to do this when fans hate it. First of all, this stuff does not sell well.
Mm-mm.
Off of just looks alone. Okay, great. It looks sure. You brought the nostalgia back, right? The throwback feeling. It looks great, right? But come on, man. I'm not buying something with that screen crap because guess what? You put it in the dryer by accident, by the way. If
It's
you were the
over with.
missus, yeah, if you were the missus, puts that thing in the dryer, which it does happen. you,
It's over with.
you can forget it. You can forget it. So I hate that they keep doing the screen print crap and everything. I think it looks terrible, honestly. And it's like,
I'm with you.
why do that? Because I do have Under Armour shirts, right? And they're embroidered to this part right here, but like the UA logo, it's screen. Like it's a sticker crap. It's not embroidered. Like, why wouldn't you just pay the extra how much it costs? And I know it didn't cost that much because I used to buy Under Armour polos at cost, which by the way, it would make your head spin if you know what that was. That in Oakley's, by the way, my God.
Hmm.
I bought that stuff at cost before when I worked for Garden Black Traditions during the college years down in Columbia. And
Hmm.
my God, like it's insane. So I wish I wish Under Armour would go away with that because
I agree.
I'm going to tell you, man, people aren't going to buy it. I mean, I had conversations with people yesterday that like they love the look, but they're simply not going to buy it because it looks cheap. It looks like trash.
Hmm.
So I really wish they'd quit doing that to the fan apparel because the fans will pay money. They do it all the time.
They will for
They do it
quality
all the
stuff. Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, man. They're gonna play for
Yes.
quality.
Yes. Like
That's why, like,
absolutely,
I'm
man.
looking now to make sure I have something that's of quality.
Right.
Um, before I pay for it, because I want something like legit of quality, so I can, be
Right.
ready.
It's like Peter Millar, dude. Peter Millar. I see people with Peter Millar shirts all the time. Tailgates, out and about, socializing.
Hmm.
Bro, those shirts start out at $120 at least.
Hmm.
Normally 150, just about, and they go from there. But it's like, I don't get it. If people wear this stuff like they wear it like crazy, then why wouldn't you pay? Why would you spend extra money to get it done to make it look good? Because next thing you know, this stuff's going to be on the clearance rack, and you're not selling it. I mean, the only way you sell it is it's sitting on the clearance rack because
Oh yeah,
it's cheap.
you're right. You're right.
I hate it, man. I hate the screen print crap when it comes.
I'm with you, bro.
Can't
I
do
don't
it.
need that. I don't need no screen print, man. I need the stuff
No.
that I got.
Yeah, dude. The embroidery makes the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah. But that's what that I just want to make sure everybody's good to go when we do step up there on the 31st. But as far as the team is concerned, I am sold that this team is going to get where they need to be, bro. I am sold from Lenore Sellers to Nick E. I'm sold. The depth chart will be coming out soon.
Yep.
And one of the biggest things I hope people understand when it comes to this depth chart is you never know what could happen.
Right.
That depth chart is cool to have, but you never know what could happen.
Right.
We have, for the first time, once again, since this one right here, maybe since 2011, we could go 8 deep at an offensive line. 2011 would be it, right? Maybe 2012. I don't remember how deep that line. I remember that line was very top heavy. Right. 2012's line was very top heavy. I don't know if it was depth wise where it needed to be, but definitely was top heavy. Dude, this line can go 8 to 9 deep.
Yeah.
And like we would be okay.
Right.
So I don't know why people are so afraid of this offensive line. I don't know why people keep worrying about this offensive line, to be honest with you, FG. I'm not saying no one can improve because, bro, everyone needs improvement. Yeah. No one is where they need to be at this point. Everyone needs to improve. We haven't even hit nobody yet.
I know.
So we're coming off a 5-7 season, and we haven't hit anyone yet. And so I guess my question is, why are y'all thinking the offensive line is so bad? They're not.
Yeah.
They're going against a genuinely really good defensive line every day.
Yep.
Off that strength alone, they're going to be better. And then on top of that, they have experience under their belt. Like, what exactly do you guys... If the offensive line was dominating the defensive line, guess what we would say? Oh, our defense is going to be super overrated because they're going to suck this year. Is that not what would be said, FG?
Absolutely.
That's literally what would have been said. Dylan's not as good as we thought he was. He can't even get past his offensive line. Mm-hmm. Why did we bring in Kyle Kennard if he can't do this? Why X? Why Y? Why Z? Everybody would say that if the defense line was getting dominated by the offensive line. Y'all would not give the offensive line credit whether they were great or not.
For sure.
You wouldn't do it.
No.
You can't do it. You won't do it because of what happened last year. So I'm done with the clickbait stuff. I'm done with all that. I'm here to address the offensive line off of what we know, and these are facts. They're improved. They're 9 deep. They are actually very good at the run game. Yeah. Their pass protection is good. Mm-hmm. It's getting better, but it's good. Lenore's has time to throw.
Yeah. Yep.
Zone blocking has become better.
It has.
All these different things are facts. These are the facts. I'm not saying they're going to sit there and get that defensive line because at the end of the day, what can you do when they are 6 people deep at every position. There's nothing you can do about that. But be thankful that you get to go against that every day. So you, in turn, get better off of that situation.
Yep.
I genuinely don't know what people want when it comes to this. But what I will say is when this offensive line proves you wrong, I'm not if, when. It's not an if. I hope you understand me. I did not say if. I said when they prove you wrong. I don't want the backsliding because I do still have receipts, bro. I promise I still have kept these receipts, bro. I'm not playing this. This is a year I'm not playing about. And I don't want to hear that crying crap on the timeline. Well, I was just saying this. I was saying that. I don't want to hear none of that crap this year. This is a year I'm going for the jugular because of how disrespectful y'all got last year. How disrespectful this all season has gotten.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gotten pretty bad at times.
So for some of y'all's sake, y'all better be right. You better be right. Because if you ain't,
receipts coming out.
That's all I'm going to say.
Coming out. Now, Q, obviously, we heard some stuff from this scrimmage, right? The past scrimmage. Nick Harbor looks really, really good. Caught just about everything thrown to him. We saw that. We saw, or we heard, excuse me, not saw, obviously, but heard that the offensive line, they have a set, that they already like what they're looking at because, obviously, for one, Tree's not 100%. Trevon Ball is not quite there either. And here's the thing, like, hearing that and seeing like your starters from last year aren't starting as of right now, that's a good thing to have, right? Because you didn't have this depth, right? You didn't have this last season. So going in like this, if you hear that Bell's going to start over Ball, don't freak out about that. If you hear Josiah Thompson, a 5-star offensive lineman, first 5-star in South Carolina history at the offensive line position, by the way, it's going to start over Tree, and as your Tree, don't freak out. Don't be like, don't think this is the end of the world, guys. Like there's a lot of good things going on right now.
I agree.
And by the way, we had this discussion last episode. Rocket Sanders, will he play? Will he won't play? Guess what? He played, and guess what? He looks like Rocket of old. No surprise there. No breaking news on that. Nobody should be surprised. But I tell you what. It's good to have a true running back again. I can say that.
I can't wait. Like I said, if he didn't scrimmage, he didn't have to prove nothing to me.
Right.
I stand 10 toes on that. He had nothing to prove to me. He had nothing to prove to you. He had nothing to prove to nobody. Because at the end of the day, we knew where Rocket was. We saw him after the spring game. He was already back in Rocket Sanders form at that point.
Yep. Now, the following guys did not play: Brian Thomas, Reed McKeska, Ja'Kai Moore, Nick Elkness, and Elijah Davis. But none of those are serious injuries, and they're supposed to be back this week.
Guess who did play? You remember the guy that's a bust, right? Marquis Anderson. He scrimmaged. You remember folks saying that it's time to hang the thing up for a redshirt freshman. Still don't understand that. Who had a serious injury last year, still was recovering from it, and has been battling back, and they're trying to not let him do too much. Yeah. I mean, do you want him to re-injure himself? I'm trying to understand what people want on this situation, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Man, Marquis, keep grinding, bro. I know you got it. Keep grinding, bro. Keep grinding.
For sure.
Forget these people, bro. Keep grinding.
And I really do believe right now, looking at the wide receiver room, dude, Jacobs, that transfer from Florida State, man, like Florida State, hey, look, you obviously can't play everybody in a season. I get it. Finding playing time can be tough. And Florida State was a good team last year. Let's give it to where it was, right? Before that injury, they were a good team. They're solid. Probably could have maybe made it interesting in the playoffs. Not saying they would have won everything or won it all. I'm not saying that at all. But might have made it interesting. But Jacobs, I mean, this is a kid from Florida State, didn't get enough playing time, but has showed the skills, right? The edge, the solitude, showing that he's good.
His route running is nice.
Yeah.
His route running is definitely that.
Jacobs could be a surprise this season. Could end up as a top 3 receiver. Don't be surprised, or top 5. I mean, he's showing out. Him, and then finally we're starting to hear a little bit about Jared Brown a little bit. Finally, he's starting to get back to it. So
Tyson Russell's another
Hey,
one that
yeah,
wasn't mentioned, but he's been having a camp.
yeah. Tyshawn Russell been real good. Tyshawn continues to
Mm-hmm.
work well. I mean, him and Norris have been glue ever since they came here last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they came to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And we still hear about Fuller, right? We still hear about what Fuller's
They
done in
said
the
that man
offseason.
could not be tackled, man.
Hey, he's
He
I,
is a bowling ball, bro.
hey, look. Some point in time, people are going to understand it doesn't have to take a certain ranking to really show who this player is, right? Because this kid doesn't camp to get his ranking, because the coaches don't
Correct.
pay whatever it is to make this kid higher in the rankings. Which, by the way, that's the way it goes down. So, rankings are highly political in high school, and obviously you all
Correct.
know that. But at the same time, look, the staff did a good job with him, right? A really good job with
They
him.
were able to keep him.
Yeah, for one, yeah,
A,
they're able to
a
keep him.
guy that definitely rose up in the rankings every single time the rankings were released. They got to keep him, and
Mm-hmm.
it was huge because the kid is really good, and he's a compliment back to Jawan Howe. Like they're literally like another 1-2 punch coming up in the rear,
Yeah,
like as young players. I,
yeah.
hey man, at this point, bro, I can lead you to the water. I can't make you drink it. I can't make you drink it. At this point, you guys are just gonna have to be made believers. But I also want you to understand something. If you're gonna throw these shots out here, make sure you're able to back them up with facts. And a lot of y'all are not backing them up with facts. You
No,
guys want to hold on to last year, where Kentucky's not going to be as good as last year, and we beat them. Missouri won't be as good as they were last year. They lost a lot, including their defensive coordinator, which was a very key point to them being successful last year. So I, whew, let's see what happens.
Missouri, I said would be an interesting case to me because their offense is deadly as all gets out, right? But as you pointed out, their defense, especially since they just probably lost the starting edge for the season,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty significant. So we'll see where that goes with them this season. We've obviously got a little while until we play them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's teams on this schedule like, for example, right, LSU. If that was, for example, Arkansas, if that was somebody like, I don't know, Mississippi State that's bringing that same kind of talent back, that would be a W on South Carolina's schedule, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
would say the same. But people are looking at like, oh, it's LSU. Do you not remember what LSU lost this past offseason?
And they really came close to losing a few games. Jaden Daniels
Oh,
was
for
able to
sure.
help them get
Oh
the
yeah.
dubs.
Oh,
So
that defense was so
and they
bad.
didn't even like replace him with better people. That's the crazy part.
Mm,
They didn't even do that. So like
no.
what does that look like for you next year?
Well, we're gonna find out on a very hot kickoff. That's for sure at 12
Yeah.
o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Which, man,
That's gonna suck.
that's a doozy, man. I look, I know we could possibly get them at an advantage being at that time and whatnot, but man, I wish that was a night game. They owe us, man. They owe us because you look at the game we
Mm-hmm.
lost to them in 2015 that had to be played in Baton Rouge, and I get it, obviously because of the circumstances with the flood and whatnot. I understand, but at the same time, it's like, man, like, can you could find a way playing night games, and I hate when people are
Correct.
like, oh, this team's got to be good to play night games. No, look. You could put this game on SEC Network or something, or one of the ESPN3 or whatever. I mean, you could find a slot for it. It doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be an ABC game and whatnot. And maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. The ABC's taking over. Maybe these slots are a little more difficult to make at night. I don't know.
Well, you
But
still got the SEC network, so it doesn't. To me, that doesn't make sense.
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, why does it matter? So I don't know. It's unfortunate that we don't
Mm-hmm.
know when we're going to see a night game essentially on the schedule. Just it sucks. It sucks. Just say it how it is. So, like I said, scrimmage notes are real good.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I believe what the starting offensive line. Correct me if I'm wrong, Q, but if it's Josiah Thompson, Kamar Bell, Rashawn Lee, um, and then Simpkins, and then Henry, which we all know Henry's an absolute monster.
Yeah.
He's got a sense of urgency in him. He wants
Mm-hmm.
to maul some dudes this season.
I think,
Um,
yeah, that's about right. It's still up in the air between Tree and Thompson.
Josiah, yeah.
Um, and I'm telling you that because when it comes down to experience, and you cannot teach experience. That's not taught. That's something you just got to go through. And
Yeah.
so I think that's something that you're going to have to watch out for. Especially to me, Kentucky will be my first guess because what they like to do with Walker is move him inside and out. So you probably will want someone with some experience dealing with Walker out there, in
Yeah.
my personal opinion, because that
Yeah.
that could get it could get rough out there when it comes to him. So I think that's something that they're going to be prepping for this year or this coming week. In these next 2 weeks, they're going to be prepping for stuff like that with Old Dominion and Kentucky um, coming up. So, but that would be the line right now. And right behind them, you still got Moore. You have Ball. You have Tree. You have Moore, Ball, Tree. You have Anderson, Marquis, another person that could play. That's really good. So you just have a lot. You
Mm.
have a lot of
Got a
people.
lot to work with.
You
You've got a
got
lot
a
to work with.
ton. That's not even including Cam Pringle, like Franks, Bruder
Hmm.
Baker. Like you
Hmm.
got a lot of people that are interchangeable in that. But if you can go 9 deep on an offensive line, I mean you're good.
Yeah.
Like let's just call a spade a spade. You're good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, in that juncture, you're in a better spot than people want to put you in.
Yeah. So what we'll probably do, Q. Wednesday night when we record 8 o'clock, we might go ahead and kind of decide if the depth chart isn't released by then, right? But we could probably go ahead and see what we're thinking, on our end.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of predict where that depth chart lands at, what we're looking at
Yeah.
before it releases, if it doesn't release by then. But I look there's at the wide receiver position. It's very interesting to me because there's so much talent there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just something that South Carolina just didn't have to work with last season. You had Xavier Leggett, which Xavier did a fantastic job. You can't say that enough. It wasn't expected though to the extent he made. Right, we knew he could do it, right,
Mm-hmm.
but you still had Juice on the other side, which Juice was going to contribute, and is probably going to be a 800,000 yard receiver for South Carolina last season.
Correct.
That did not happen. So South Carolina had to end up finding that extra talent. So Xavier Leggett's covered. Who am I throwing down to? This time you have names. You have guys that you can get the
Mm-hmm.
ball out to. So I'm gonna remain optimistic how this season's gonna go. I'm not saying that we're gonna win, you know, 8 games, 9 games, 10 games, or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. I'm thinking we're gonna find success. I think it's gonna be better than a lot of people think. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 6, 7, 8, or even 8-win team. I mean, my God, they could throw a 9-win team out there, and it still wouldn't surprise me.
Correct.
But we gotta let the guys play the game. I mean, it's to the point where like I said, the off season talk, it's talking season still, and I've had it, man. Like it's almost get to a
Um.
point where I might log in on Twitter once a day, Facebook once a day, put out my little countdown video, and that's that. Like I just don't care for it, man. I'm
Yeah. I don't
annoyed.
got
Like
nothing else to say.
it's
Like
obnoxious, right?
people are trying to dissect a scrimmage. People are trying to do stuff like it. I'm good on all that.
Right. That's where I'm at with it. I've had enough. But wrapping up the show, we're it's 7:55 just about right now, and 1 minute to 5 minutes until kickoff, just about for Spencer Rattler in his second preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, preseason play has been pretty good for these South Carolina Gamecocks.
Yeah.
Marcellus Dial had a little bit of a rough game the other night against, I believe it was the Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a rough game there, but we're seeing guys move into roles that they may be playing some pretty big ones that were not there last year. Cam Smith, by the way, which
Had a good game.
hey, they hated that. The old DC at I guess Miami hated, just was not a fan of Cam Smith. So look for his playing time to really go up there. He had a
Mm-hmm.
nice PBU last night. Last night it really looked really good there.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Pickens looks really good in the preseason ball. A lot of guys haven't played yet. Xavier Leggett has not been released to he's not been released to play the game yet. He's been still on the bench. He was supposed to. We thought he might go last night. South Carolina put out not South Carolina Panthers put out a little bit of a teaser of Xavier Legette under a different Carolina sky, as it was captioned, but Xavier did not play at all. Now, obviously, as a Panthers fan, I'm not worried about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I would still like to see Xavier get some playing time, which I'd have to feel like the final game next week he's going to play. I mean, you have to. The Carolina Panthers have not played really anybody as far as starters go, honestly.
Mm-mm.
So we'll see about that. So obviously, I'm hyped about Spencer Rattler to see what he looks like tonight. I think that game. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna search this while we're live. I think it's televised for our markets. Like, I'm gonna double check that. Q, is there anybody that excites you so far this preseason that you've been watching?
I really like how Cam Smith has played. I feel like he hasn't had his true shot.
Okay,
EJ Jenkins.
Q on the audio. I'm not sure what's going on.
Can you hear me now?
So I'll wait for Q's audio to get back on that. So, I will say this about.
Can you not hear me?
We're South Carolina with Carolina and whatnot. We'll see what they look like. But hey, we got the Saints and the 49ers at 8 o'clock tonight. That is going to kick off then. So that's exciting.
Can you hear me now?
There. So we'll see what that looks like. I'm highly stoked, man. Highly stoked on that. Like I said, that starts then. So, like I said, Saints and the San Francisco 49ers, 8 o'clock tonight. Watch 57. Watch Fox 57.
Yo, can you hear me now?
We'll see what that's.
Can you hear me now? No? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm not sure what happened with Q's mic. So
I don't know.
That's all right. We'll get it back next episode on that. I'm your host, Famously Guard. We're going to wrap this show here, guys. 13 days away, man. 13 days away. 12 when you guys are listening. We appreciate everybody tuning in to the Welcome Home podcast. I think that this is just a sign to go ahead and get your TVs on because, like I said, New Orleans Saints, San Francisco 49ers, 8 o'clock tonight to see our guys play. Spencer Rattler, Deebo Samuel. He may get some playing time. We will see. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We will see you next time.
Peace.